Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Business Innovators Radio. This is your host, Constant Taylor. Today, we have a very special guest on the show, and they're going to share some very exciting information with us. So, if you're looking to increase your personal and professional effectiveness, then you've come to the right place. Our special guest today is Lyman Montgomery. Lyman has been speaking professionally for over 20 years. The content that Lyman primarily speaks on is removing distractions, increasing productivity, and teaching business leaders how to turn priorities into profit centers. Lyman has spoken both nationally and internationally and is based out of Bloomington, Indiana. Lyman has a bestseller called Shattered Masks, 7 Masks We Wear. He also has an audio companion version coming out in November called Shattering Your Mask, the companion to the book Shattered Masks. Lyman, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, I'd like to jump into the interview by asking you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your speaking business.
Sure, thank you. Lyman Montgomery. I grew up, like a lot of people, in a 2-family household in Dayton, Ohio. My mom was an educator. My dad was a construction worker. So I got the love of books and learning from my mom and a hard work ethic of getting up early in the morning from my stepdad, who raised 3 boys and 1 girl, my sister. Graduated from Ohio University with an undergrad, master's degree, went on to Harvard University. And then from there, I'm currently pursuing my PhD in human resource management and productivity. And it's just been a great ride.
Well, that's pretty heavy duty. Now, how do you go from Dayton, Ohio to Harvard University? One of four kids, one of 4 children?
Yes, one of 4.
How do you make that bridge? There's a lot of people out there would like to hear that inspired story.
Sure. This is what happened. I always say, I went to Harvard and I got a certificate after my undergrad. I did my graduate work at Ohio University and also at American Intercontinental University as well. And I had an opportunity to do a leadership training program at Harvard. And I said, that's nothing. My youngest brother graduated from Juilliard. So I think it's just something in our blood that we just love education. And so how I ended up there is that I was doing a lot of training early on in my career. This goes back to I started my speaking business right around 1991, 1992. And I had an opportunity to speak in Washington, D.C. at Georgetown University. And a good friend of mine that was on the speaking circuit with me had said, hey, there's this great program at Harvard University for about a month. It's a leadership development training. You can go there, spend about a month at Harvard. And so I did that, went through their leadership training, and it literally transformed my business, transformed my speaking business. I became very clear in what it was that I wanted to do and to look at it not as a speaking hobby, but truly as a speaking business.
Okay, so let's
from there it just grew.
Okay, so let's transition that into how you leveraged your experiences growing up, your educational experiences to help individuals today.
Sure. Growing up, an interesting story. Most people don't know this, so this would be great. I did not learn to speak until I was literally 8 years old. I had a serious speech impediment. I wore corrective shoes, and I was bullied, literally beaten every day at school. My oldest brother, Robert, literally used to fight my fights. I would run, and he would stand and fight. And that went on, probably for about 4 or 5 years until finally I got sick and tired of running. And I remember closing my eyes and fought this bully, and I probably lost the fight. But something interesting happened. after I stood up for myself and fought this bully, we became good friends. And my parents put me into martial arts, and I excelled at martial arts. And because of great mentors, I finally learned how to come out of my shell. And I had a teacher that pretty much put me into a speaking contest. And I remember saying to Miss Jarvis, but I don't know how to speak. And she literally made me enter this speech competition, and she worked with me, and I actually won. And when I won that competition, I ended up winning the school competition, got invited to the Rotary Club of Dayton, won the Rotary speaking competition, and it just went on from there. But in the midst of all of that, something traumatic happened. I ended up being sexually abused by a different teacher, and it was a secret that I carried, and I did not even share that secret until I released the book, Shattered Masks, 7 Masks That We Wear, because this was in 1977. At the time, there were no real resources to turn to, and for a lot of men that have suffered sexual abuse, we suffer in silence, and thus one of the chapters is entitled The Mask of Silence. All of us have heard this cliche, what goes on in the house stays in the house, and the problem is the house is on fire, and inside we're yearning for someone to come save us. And it wasn't until 30 years later, and I was doing major speaking events, and a good friend of mine, we were having a conversation, and come to find out that he had also been sexually molested, and he was talking about his, and he encouraged me. He said, Lyman, you have to get it out your head, and you have to talk about it and get help. And when I did that, my world literally opened up. I was doing okay, but when I began to pull back the curtain and expose this dark secret, literally hundreds, thousands of men all over the world began to contact me for speaking engagements, to speak at conferences, all over the country as far as radio programs, radio shows. And because I dared to break out that mode of silence. And the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow, that is a pretty powerful story, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage to be able to share that with the world. I mean, there's so many people that have been impacted by that, males and females. So I just give you a tremendous amount of props and respects for what you did there. Yeah.
Thank you.
With the speaking impediment, not the speaking, but the fact that you didn't speak until you were 8, you know that
8 years old.
Now you know that you're in good company, right? You know that there's there's a famous person that happened to also, right?
Oh yes.
Who is that?
You talking about Les Brown?
Well, not Les, but there is he was a genius, considered a genius, early in the early 1900s, late 1800s. You know, Einstein.
Einstein. Yes.
Einstein did not speak until he was 5. I don't know if you heard this. Have you heard the story?
No, I have not.
Okay, Einstein did not speak until he was 5 years old, did not utter a word. The first words out of his mouth was, "Mother, may I please have some milk?"
Incredible.
For 5 years, nothing. And they, the wife and the husband look at each other and they're like, "So you've been able to speak all this time? Why haven't you said anything?" And his response was, "Well, everything's been perfect up until now." True story. So,
wow.
Yeah. So now removing distractions. How does, that we've got so much crap going on. We've got internet, we've got social media, we've got work, we've got all types of issues. How do you address this monstrous issue of moving distractions? I'm fascinated to hear that.
Yes.
Personally.
Let me give you 3 types of distractions that I found out that most people deal with in their business and in their personal life. And this is what I was dealing with. One of the reasons that I didn't speak until I was 8 years old is that I was distracted and felt as if I said something, it would come out wrong. or I didn't want to feel stupid or dumb or any other type of negative label. And it wasn't until I began working with my speech therapist to really focus on one thing. If I could get one sentence out, that was tremendous for me. And thus how we created the name of the company, GetFocusedToday.com, because every day we require focus. And the three types of distractions that most people deal with are psychological distraction. These are distractions where it's hard for you to get your head in the game. Maybe you receive some bad news. Maybe you're getting ready to go on stage and all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I just got an email that my dad is sick. But people have paid. You got a room of 400 folks that have paid to hear you speak. Do you cancel, or do you take that distraction, look at it, and what I call triage it and say, I recognize you. Yes, you're there, but right now these people came to hear me speak, and I owe it to them to be at my best. So those are psychological distractions. Then there are what's known as people distraction, what we refer to as interruptions. Maybe it's you're trying to get some work done at the office and the phone rings, your notifications, and sometimes you literally need to unplug. And what I encourage people to do, and I train people to do, is as simple as put a do not disturb sign on your door and put a voice message on your phone that says, hey, I would love to speak with you, but currently I'm involved in some, and make it fun, I'm involved with a top secret project that requires my attention, but I will return your call as soon as I'm done. Just have fun. And then the third type are process distraction. You ever walked into a room and you look and there's papers everywhere, binders everywhere, and people have a tendency to say, hey, I know it looks like a mess, but it's my mess, and I know where everything is at. Well, the brain does not know what to do with clutter, disorganization, so it seeks the path of least resistance. And they've created TV shows about this, of people that literally are living in filth, and in their mind, it's okay. I know how to get from here to the kitchen, to the restroom, to the bedroom. Not to mention I have to sort of tunnel my way through.
Right.
And so in their own mind is what they call, it's messy, it's chaotic, but it's my mess, I own it. And so we work with people to eliminate those distractions within 5 to 7 days. Most people are able to do it within 5 to 7 minutes.
Wow.
Once they learn and go through our training.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So now you have removed the distractions. They are distraction free. Now they need to produce something. Okay, now my head is clear. How do you help them do that?
This now once you remove those distractions, you get those 3 types of distractions under control. Now we move into what we call turbo productivity. And what that simply means with turbo is, and this is how you increase your productivity, you time stamp your task. Studies have shown that when you simply put a due date and a time on it, you increase your productivity by 35 to 40%. And I give you an example. Instead of saying, I get this report to you by the end of the week, start saying, I will get this report to you by 5 p.m. on Monday, November, whatever the date might be. It does something to the mind. Then you write it down and you set it and forget it using notifications, emails, or something that will remind you. Then the U is, what's your underlying purpose for doing this? A lot of people do things and they have no reason why they're doing it. It's sort of like going to that meeting that's a standing Christmas meeting, but it starts meeting in June for Christmas.
Right.
Because someone said we got to have a meeting. And so if it doesn't make sense to you, then it's not going to make sense to anyone else. If you cannot explain why you're doing something, then don't expect someone else to understand why you do what it is that you do. And then the R is, what resources do you need? And this is the big problem with a lot of people when it comes to productivity. They don't have the tools or the resources to truly be productive. And then the B is, bundle tasks, like tasks, into projects. For example, if I'm working on a speech. Let's say I got 3 speaking engagements, and 2 of those are centered around productivity. I will work on those 2 keynote speeches within the same time bracket. So I might spend an hour on one, an hour on the other, because I'm in the flow of productivity. Let's say the third one is dealing with process flow. Then I will set that separately rather than trying to multitask, and I'm shifting my brain from talking about productivity to process flow to Lean Six Sigma or strategic management. It creates a state of confusion. And then you set outcomes. And so that's sort of our turbo system that we take business leaders through to increase their productivity. And again, timestamp everything, know the underlying purpose and reason why you do everything that you do. If you cannot explain it, that's a good opportunity not to do it. Do you have the resources to do what you need to do? And then can you bundle similar tasks into projects? And then you have to set some type of metric. In other words, how do you know that you've met the target if you don't have a measuring system? Mm-hmm. And it might be as simple as completed, not completed. If not completed, why? And that's how we help companies increase their productivity using our turbo system.
Excellent. Now, time always goes so quickly when we're talking to dynamic and informative speakers like yourself. So we're out. I wanted to find out about teaching business leaders how to turn priorities into profit centers. But listeners, you guys have to connect with this guy. Get with him. Go to his website. You know, there's a lot of folks out there, but not everybody is doing it on the same level that he's doing it. And this guy is the real deal. So if the listeners would like to get in contact with your organization, how can they do that, Lyman?
Real simple. Simply go to focustoday.com. Focustoday.com, or you can put my name in, Lyman Montgomery, and you can Google me, Lyman Montgomery, and all of my stuff will come up. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Matter of fact, if you put in productivity coach, I got the #1 spot for productivity coaching and focus coaching. So I'm so proud of that.
Wow.
And I'm real easy to find. Or you can call me at my office, 877-275-3039.
Lyman, it has been a privilege and a pleasure to connect with you and to get you out to our listeners. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.